All right, good morning, everybody, on a Tuesday morning with our first snow flurries of the year. Nothing better as we head into the fourth quarter, and I would remind you of this. Are you going to be a rambling, gambling man or a woman this fourth quarter? And I would go gamble in your fourth quarter. That's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, jumping into it, a few things to give you an update on. If you had not seen it yet, congrats to Jeremy Reinders out of the Southwest office for being reelected to the GMAR Board of Directors for another term. Guys, thank you for everybody who participated and voted in the GMAR Board of Elections. It's important for us to continue to provide progressive thought on our association board and continue to participate there. So guys, thank you for being heads in and participating and voting in the GMAR elections, and congrats to Jeremy. Awesome. Moving on. So in the last couple weeks, we've had a few more people who have capped. So we're going to celebrate a few people this morning. First off, giving a huge shout out. Even in the middle of moving from the west side of town to the east side of town, Sarah Reardon always has a ton of positive energy. Very cute little daughter, and Madeline and her husband Tim here as they just moved over to Whitefish Bay. Congrats, Sarah Reardon, for capping in the month of September/October. Next up, the person we're celebrating next, Patrick Simonis. The guy who has a ton of rental units, understands the positive aspect of cash flow, and just an incredibly smart dude, has a great family, 3 great kids who love to drive him crazy. And I'll tell you, as a dad, I learned a ton from him, and he's always giving me tips and tricks. So Patrick Simonis, congrats on capping in the month of September. Next one up that we're celebrating, Jackie Stern, congrats. Even being a new mom and everything that you have going on, from your dance life to real estate, you continue to absolutely kill it. Jackie Stern, congrats on capping in the month of September. And then our next up, Brad Yates. He's been working on it. He was super stoked to be given his red book, a guy who's done a ton of different things. You used to see him on the morning blend as he's mixing up a cocktail for Camp Bar. But Brad, congrats on your transition into real estate, and thank you for everything you do for KW from a tech perspective. You really have helped us move the needle forward on adoption on tech. And so congratulations to you on building a great business in real estate. Next up, Paula Golaki, another person who made a move recently in the last 12 months from something totally different, jumped in full-time into real estate, didn't have to manage between 2 different careers. She just went all in all the time. Paula, congrats on capping in the month of September. And the next one, Brett Timmerman. This guy has his hands in a million different things. He's super involved civically across here in Milwaukee in the state of Wisconsin. Lives in possibly one of the coolest places on the river downtown. Brett Timmerman, congrats on capping in the month of September. And this is so apropos. Congrats to Brett's partner in crime in the real estate business, Gail Ganley. Gail, congrats on capping in the month of September. I know when I called you last week to give you a heads up, you were over the moon excited, and I'm super stoked for you. So congrats on capping, Gail. And then the last one that we're celebrating today, this guy, every single year he's been at KW, Bruce Gallagher has capped in 30 days. The guy just gets it done. He's absolutely killing the luxury lake market right now out in Lake Country. Bruce Gallagher, congrats on capping in the month of September. Guys, awesome, awesome stuff. I love celebrating people who are capping. I love calling you to give you a heads up. I love seeing the reactions you get when you get your red book. So everybody, congrats on capping in the month of September and in October. Awesome. All right, now I'm turning it over to Lindsay. And Lindsay, we got a special guest, don't we, on team meeting this morning? I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, we do. Good morning, everybody. So yes, like Charlie said, we have a very special guest today, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard me mention his name or talk about Gordon Simley. He is our regional tech director for the North Central region. And so one of the things that is rolling out this week is finally, the team functionality and permissions. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today, but I just wanted to give Gordon a little introduction. So like I mentioned, he's our regional tech director. So he helps me out a ton. And so his job is to really train and provide resources to agents and to market center leadership in order to fully leverage Command to the best of its ability. And so Gordon has actually been with Keller Williams since 2013 as a licensed realtor up in Minnesota. And he was also part of the product advisory group in 2017. And he's been a labs advisor since March of 2019. So he's got an extensive background with Keller Williams. He's super knowledgeable about the tech. And so Gordon, I'm going to throw it over to you and talk a little bit more about what's coming for the team functionality and permissions this week.
Well, thanks for the nice introduction there, Lindsay. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Gordon Simley, Regional Tech Director for North Central Region. For those of you who are not familiar with the region, we actually cover Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming. So we're actually the second largest geographic region outside of Canada. So there's a fun fact for you. As Lindsay mentioned, we have a really big week here for KW Command and our technology journey here. So later this week, we'll be rolling out version 1 of our team functionality. This will be a really big part of a kind of a big overhaul for Command. And this will allow our teams to be able to run their businesses in a way that they never have before. And it's really exciting because for the first time in Command, we're going to be able to we're doing one thing, which is separating the personal side of Command and the team side. And then what that's going to allow is for teams to be able to kind of get their kind of branding and all of their systems in alignment for everyone else on the team to utilize. So a great example of that would be team smart plans or team tags or custom fields or lead sources. And eventually a little bit further down the road here, not too far away though, we'll be adding the same functionality into campaigns, designs, and a little bit more in opportunities, though opportunities has kind of already been kind of teamified, if you want to call it that. And so really exciting time. And we're going to dive into a little bit more about what all that means.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. So it's going to be rolled out later this week. And so there's a couple of different things that you can do as a team to prepare for that. So 3 of those things is to get your contact tags together and determine what tags you want to use as a team. There's also custom lead sources. So there is a default list, but you would just have to add additional ones if those are not included in there. And then there's custom fields. So if you as a team determine, there's a field in there that you want to utilize for your contacts, you can create those custom fields for the team to use across the board. Now, one thing to note, as the Rainmaker, all of your custom contact tags and custom fields that you have in your account currently, those are going to pull into that team command account for the entire team's use. And then, so I want to talk a little bit about the different permissions. So there's 3 different types of permissions. Standard is the default. So that's what every agent and admin is going to see right now in their accounts. And so that is going to allow you to work with, if you're an agent, with your owned or assigned leads and contacts, including in smart plans. The next one up is enhanced. And so this is the basic permission level for admin. It's going to allow admin to manage any lead or contact in the team command account. And then you're going to have access to either create, edit, or delete team tags, lead sources, custom fields, and smart plans. And then there's unlimited. So this is what the Rainmakers already have. And basically the difference between the unlimited and the enhanced is the ability to export or delete team-owned leads and contacts, and also to change those permission levels for each admin and agent on the team. So I will be sharing this guide out to our private Facebook groups so that you can just prepare for this transition as your team. So it's going to just walk you through, what kind of team do you have? And it's going to go through more details with those permission levels and kind of just ask you some questions to prepare for these changes that they're rolling out. So like I mentioned, I'm going to upload this guide to our Facebook groups. I'm also going to share some links to answers.kw.com. And so you'll have all of those resources available to you that you can read all about. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me as we kind of prepare for these new permissions and functionality. And like Gordon said, this is only the beginning. Down the road, we're going to be having campaigns, designs, consumer, all of that part of the team rollout.
Yeah, and I can provide us a little bit of additional clarity too, in addition to what Lindsay is talking about. So keep in mind, with everything that we're doing on this tech journey, it's a little bit of crawl, then walk, then run, right? So we're kind of taking it incrementally, one step at a time for a reason, because obviously, we're as agents running our businesses in here, and we want to make sure that, we're able to, kind of put one foot in front of the other and make sure that, we're moving forward as we should be. So how the permissions is initially going to work. Well, for one, when team functionality rolls out later this week, they're not going to turn on the permissions right away. So we're going to make sure that the rollout, is successful and that everything is in good shape. And then we're going to be moving to add in the ability to turn off personal command for teams. So it's a little bit of a, one foot in front of the other, like I said. And initially, only the Rainmaker will have the ability to make add and edit those tags and custom fields and lead sources. And then once that the permissioning is put into the system, then you'd be able to assign your admin to the enhanced permission level and allow them to do that as well. So again, it's not all going to come out immediately all at once. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page with that, because I know sometimes we might expect that, right? So and one other exciting thing that I want to mention too with this rollout is, in addition to version 1 of team functionality, we also have version 3 of contacts rolling out. And I think a lot of you are going to be excited about that, because we're going to start to see some additional speed improvements in our database. And this new rollout for contacts is also going to allow the ability to view and work with up to 500 contacts at a time. So I know a lot of us have been wanting to, be able to use more than 50 for quite some time. And I believe that we'll have the ability to, in addition to the ones that we have now, 10, 20, and 50, we'll have 100, 200, and 500. So that will be another exciting improvement as well.
Yeah, exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. So thank you so much, Gordon, for hopping on and talking more about this. But yeah, like I mentioned, feel free to reach out if you have questions. But this guide will be uploaded right after team meeting to our Facebook groups.
And guys, we'll make sure that we send this out too in the insights and resources email that gets sent out Tuesdays after team meeting. I tell you this, right? I know it seems overwhelming, right? And there can be times where command adoption is like, oh my gosh, where do I start? And I remind people of this all the time. Lindsay, let me ask you this. If you wanted to eat a cow, how would you eat a cow?
I'd start with the ribs.
Totally put you on the spot. You eat a cow one bite at a time, right? So that's my advice for you as you look to some of the teams that are looking to begin adopting command and beginning to slash and cut expenses on some of the CRMs that you're currently using. How do you eat a cow? You eat it one bite at a time. So don't get overwhelmed. Just start working one by one. And Chris McKinney at JSG has been a phenomenal example of how this is done, as she's taken it one step at a time, as JSG is really beginning to become fully implemented into the command platform here soon. So Awesome. Lindsay, Gordon, thank you guys for jumping on to give us that big update as it relates to command and the tech adoption for teams. All right, Kimmy, I'm turning it over to you.
Awesome. So today I'm going to expand a little bit on what Steph touched on last week. So last week, Steph talked about the inspection contingency and when you're negotiating repairs, whether you use a notice or an amendment. So just to recap that, if a buyer is wanting to negotiate terms after a home inspection, they would draft an amendment, a WB-40 amendment. If the buyer would like to provide a notice of defects, the buyer has to do this, or the agent has to do this on a WB-41 notice of defects. And then what happens next is determined by whether or not the seller has the right to cure. And I also just want to quickly touch on the right to cure. When you are writing your offer to purchase and your buyer is trying to determine, if you want to hit back a slide here, your buyer is trying to determine whether or not they give the seller the right to cure, you need to educate your buyer on what choice is best for them. I am seeing way too many times a buyer does their inspection and there's significant defects and they say, oh, I want out, but they've given the seller the right to cure. So it's not an automatic out for the buyer. So make sure the buyer is really understanding what it means to give the seller the right to cure. It means the seller has the final say as to whether this contract is going to move forward or not. If the buyer does not give the seller the right to cure, then ultimately it's the buyer's decision as to whether or not they walk based on defects. So please ensure you're educating your buyers on that decision. So moving ahead here. So sorry, back up one slide. So with the notice of defect, so in the event the buyer decides, hey, we're at a point where either we've tried to negotiate through an amendment or we just simply want to deliver a notice of defects. The proper way to deliver a notice of defects, again, is putting on a WB-41 notice and inserting language that states something like, this is a notice of defects. The following are defects to which the buyer objects. And then the buyer would list the items, those defects that the buyer objects to. And then you're also attaching a copy of the inspection report. So on the next slide, I have a great example of what a proper notice of defects looks like. So thank you, Martha Ola, for allowing me to use this as an example. She wrote a fabulous notice of defects. So you notice that the first line, she struck out seller to say this notice by buyer. It's a notice from the buyer, relates to the offer to purchase, and you're inserting the date it was written and the date it was accepted.
And her new office, home office.
And then the property address. Lines 4 through 18 then go on to state, this is a notice of defects. Buyer hereby withdraws the offer to purchase based on the following defects noted in the extensive home inspection report. So in this example, the seller did not have the right to cure. So by delivering this notice of defects, the offer was automatically null and void. So Martha just reiterated that statement here on line 7. Then she goes on to just list the defects. Garage roof is at the end of its life. House roof has several broken tiles, and so on. So she's simply listing the defects. And then on line 27, you can see she attached some additional reports that just some follow-up inspections that they must have had completed. So you'll notice she does not dictate how the seller is curing a defect, by when things are going to be done, who's doing any work. That would not be a proper notice of defects. Again, it's just simply stating this is a notice of defects and listing those defects that the buyer is objecting to. So next slide, just talking about some improper notice of defects. So one thing I see often is that the buyer is dictating how the seller will cure the defects. Again, the notice is simply a place just to list those defects. Another thing I see often is agents will put their notice of defects on an amendment. So they think, okay, by putting the list of defects on an amendment and I delivered it to the seller and they didn't sign it, I'm still okay because I delivered those defects. No, it has to be on a notice, a WB-41 notice. So ensure that that is being done properly. Megan says, I see that the camera is attached. Are you supposed to attach the camera to the notice? It's not required to attach it. You can also deliver the cancellation agreement along with the notice, but it does not need to be formally attached to the notice, but certainly can be attached. So please ensure you're protecting your buyers. That inspection contingency period is the most tricky part of the transaction typically. And so ensure that all this is happening before that inspection contingency deadline. So here's our weekly reminder for our GMAR dues. We've got like another week to save $25 on your GMAR dues. Otherwise, you'll be paying a little bit more as the year goes on. But please ensure you have this paid by December 31st. And then another reminder for continuing ed. Everybody's got to do continuing ed unless you got your license in the month of October. All 6 courses are required. If you hit the next slide. Must be completed by December 14th. Through the WRA is the best way to go and get your CE done. There are other providers that provide CE. Just ensure you're getting those 6 required courses. And then please email myself or Steph once you're done with those, so we can strike you off our list. Once you're done with continuing ed, on October 26th, the DSPS will open up their online portal to officially renew your license. So CE is done first, and then you go through the DSPS to renew your license. I believe it's about $75 to renew the license. So both of these must be done by December 14th. And as we've stated before, don't wait until the very end to do that. DSPS, it takes a little bit of time for them to process. So give yourself a little bit of time there.
Cool. Thanks, Kimmy. All right, guys, now we're jumping into a conversation. And, you know, one of the things that's been thrown around a lot this year with the passing of Kobe Bryant is this whole concept of Mamba mentality, right? And I think there's some misconception around what that really meant and how people really apply it to their everyday lives. So I have a quick little video with you to share that if you pay attention to only 90 seconds of today, pay attention to this 90 seconds mindset, because it's going to set up the conversation that we're about to have. So give me 1 second. I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to show you a little something and really want this to be ingrained into your psyche as to what this really means. Okay, so check this out.
Understanding that no matter what discipline you're in, it doesn't matter whether you're a writer or basketball player or a coder. There's a common denominator in how we approach our craft. The attention to detail, the level of commitment, right? Those things are the same across the board, right? So that is my message. Don't look at what I did, but look at how I did it, right? The how. And then you can really transfer that over into any profession and any discipline. That's Mamba mentality.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Understanding that no matter.
That's it. It's studying how people do things, why people are successful, what it is that they do, how they do it every single day, right? And so what I want to do is I'm actually going to have a conversation right now. And frequently we'll bring on guest speakers from all over the country, right? And here's how I want to kind of set this up. So far, year to date, this person's team's listings taken units are up 12%. Their listings taken volumes up 32%. In the last 12 months, the teams closed 362 units for 155 million, and their total production's up 11%, right? As I was thinking about Mamba mentality and understanding how and why and what motivates people today, I figured, why the heck do I need to bring someone in from Austin, Texas, or Dallas, or Houston, or California, or wherever? And I just texted Jay and I said, Jay, you're the #1 agent in the state of Wisconsin. Your business is up. You're cranking. Can we ask and pose a few questions to you for people to understand your mindset as we head here into the fourth quarter? And I'm going to share with you some nuggets around some of the stuff that JSG has been doing. So Jay, you ready?
Yep.
Beautiful. All right. So here's what I want to kind of lead off with, right? Is last month, you guys as a team closed close to 20 million. You had 9 members on your team who did north of 1 million individually, right? How are you personally, and how is your team staying focused through all of this to continue to drive your business moving forward?
I think, we stay focused by watching and recapping our business. So as a team, every week we're recapping where we are to last year in total volume, but where are we by agent, where are we by source of business, whether it's open house, sphere referral. We track and review it as a team every week. So I think number one, if you're watching your business and watching your numbers, your activities become more attuned to that goal. I think that's probably, how I, as a rainmaker, stay focused on it. And then each agent on our team, we're lucky to have many different agents on the team with different skill sets and different ways of doing a high level of real estate business. And I think everybody gets focused on what their one thing is, whether it's, new agent on our team who's killing it at open houses, or a seasoned person who's got a huge sphere of influence that their best thing to do is not to cold call, it's to touch and work their sphere. So I think we all are staying focused by looking at our numbers and focusing on the one thing that as an individual agent, we're each good at.
Yeah, and I think you guys are very good at helping people hone into their strengths, right? Like, it's not this buckshot approach of, there is some trial and error to help people find their thing, but then it's also helping people stay focused on, like, Jackie Rubin, you're killing it right now in open houses. Great. Let's pour into that lead source for you, right? Or various other people on your team. It's helping them stay focused on where they're finding their business, so they know exactly where it's coming from and where they need to lean into to move it forward, right?
Yep. I'd struggled for a long time that, we hear these teams that lead generate for 60 hours a day and cold call and FSBOs and expireds. And, we tried that, and that's not our one thing. So that's why, we brought an amazing ISA in to help do that, so that we as individual agents on the team can focus on our one thing.
Yeah, totally. And one of the things I've noticed too is talking to people both internally and externally, that I'm getting a sense of is people are really starting to feel burned out, right? And 2020 has been challenging, again, both personally and professionally. How are you personally staying focused heading into the fourth quarter, and how are you helping your team stay focused towards finishing out the year strong?
I think it's funny when COVID, when Safer at Home started, and I'm gonna go to the office every day and I feed off of, Janine in the office, or I feed off the other agents on the team. So when that Safer at Home thing started, I'm taking naps, I'm doing puzzles, and I'm like, who is this guy? So, I think I've come to realize that I get my energy from the team. But the one thing I will say, maybe this isn't the nicest thing to say, but I'm blown away by listening to agents around the market who start complaining when they get busy. And I've never understood that in a business where we're 100% commission, that you're complaining about being busy. So I think, to quote Diana Kokoska from Bold, complaining is a garbage magnet, and we don't complain on a team. It's, yes, you may have hit a hurdle, or we're struggling learning Command, which that's me. DocuSign has been miserable for me, but I can either sit back and complain, or I can hunker down. So I think, that's how we motivate each other. Complaining is not allowed on the team, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's time to get focused, and I think that's how we remain successful.
Yeah, and it's accepting the realities of whatever it is that may be faced at you. It's accepting what it is and learning to move forward through it, instead of dwelling on whatever it is that you may be facing, right?
Yeah. And then it's celebrating successes. I mean, last year we had one agent on our team break the $10 million sales mark. This year we've got 3 and a fourth and a fifth that are clawing to get at that $10 million number. So that's where, when we start celebrating successes, I think that's where we get our motivation from.
Yeah, it was super interesting. I just correlating that reference to a sports reference. I watched an interview with Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick, the head coach of the Patriots. If you don't know who he is, he's a very stoic individual, right? And they asked him, Bill, what do you think of all these guys that are celebrating and dancing and doing all this stuff? And the reporter was trying to kind of set him up where they thought he was going to give a stodgy answer. And Bill Belichick, who is the most, boring guy on the face of the earth, said he loves it because the energy those guys, and he used clips within this interview, and he used clips of his team, and it was a bunch of guys making great plays, and then they went back to the huddle and went about their job. And he goes, that looks boring to me. No one's celebrating their successes and no one's sharing in the success. And then he showed clips of like when guys made great plays and the energy that the 8 or 9 guys that jumped on him and danced and did all these celebrations and whatever it may be, the rest of the team fed off that energy, right? And so I use that analogy to talk about like, great, if you get a listing, celebrate the listing. If you get a closed deal, celebrate the closed deal. If you get a buyer agency sign, and even though you got to go show them 20 houses, go celebrate that. Like the positive energy of that is so contagious, and the momentum is powerful.
Yep. We start every meeting off with a teammate toast and a success story. Success breeds success.
For sure. So let me ask you this. Part of, what you may not know this, but I looked at some stats for you, and get this, right? In the last 4 years, I looked at JSG's October, November, and December, and I compared it to their June, July, and August for 4 consecutive years, right? And here's a crazy statistic for those of you guys paying attention at home. Every single year for the last 4 years, JSG as a team has been more productive in October, November, December than they have in June, July, and August. Think about that. They've been more productive in the fourth quarter than they have in the middle of the summer. Jay, and I know you and I have talked about this before. Talk a little bit about kind of your guys' mindset heading into the fourth quarter. And I know you guys have done some things around, 100 listings in 100 days. But what is it about the fourth quarter that drives your guys' business so strong when most people are, kicking their feet up?
I had a MAPS coach several years ago that as we were reviewing the business, because at that time I wasn't watching my business, kind of commented about how bad my fourth quarter was. So we did a 90 and 90 challenge. And what really blew my mind away was, I think the year I did it, or the year the team did it, the year prior for January, we closed just under 900,000 and we closed 14 million the following year. So, it's focusing on that. So we've really come to realize that by doing a 90 and 90 challenge. We just got done with one. We kind of shifted it up a little bit. COVID kind of messed some things up, but we did a July, August, September 90 and 90 challenge, and got to celebrate the fact that Stephanie won with the most number of listings, and literally Ross came in number 2 and missed it by like 4 hours. If the sellers would have signed, he would have been able to tie Stephanie. But what that does is it builds that momentum into the business. My coach said, "Why do you turn your business off in fourth quarter?" I said, "Oh, it's cold out. It's Wisconsin. Nobody's moving." So he made me pull MLS statistics. And as I'm pulling it, I'm literally like dropping my head. Like I turned my business off, not knowing. I had an excuse. There was an excuse not to do business. So we do, and we're going to start a November, December, January 90 and 90 challenge. That way, then, yes, it's not typical for someone to be listing their house in the middle of December. But if we're having conversations now to get them to sign, to launch in mid-January, we've hit the ground running. So we do a August, September, October 90 and 90. That kind of gets us going into the fourth quarter to have, a really happy holiday. And then we do a November, December, January listing challenge to, again, build that momentum. Because when we launch in January and you get open houses and you get buyers in the door and you get internet leads, that's how the momentum spurs.
Yeah, totally. And it's being cognizant of, great, we're going to kick this thing, we're getting it going, because like to your point, someone's taking a listing or someone's closing a deal in November. The question is whether it's you or whether it's somebody else.
Yep.
Right. All right. So I got 2 more questions to kind of wrap up this conversation is, as you look ahead to 2021, how are you, what is your kind of thought process around planning for 2021, or some of the things that you guys are looking to do strategically different in 2021? As we are now really in that kind of the beginning stages of the planning for next year.
I think as we're just now starting. So Janine meets with each individual agent on the team for them to build their own goal. And it starts from an income. What's your income goal? Based on your average sale price, this is how many units, how many do you want to do buyer versus seller? and then we can put that out to our percent by month. So if you're signing up for how we lead generate, how we do our 90 and 90 challenges, if you follow that cadence, here's how your number of units per month is going to be. And that way, then you have ownership. Someone may say, hey, I want to make 100,000 a year. Someone may want to make $500,000 a year. Then we put it, Janine in her meeting, they put it to paper, and then we roll it up as a total team. And, that's kind of our goal. So each individual agent's responsible for their own business. And then in terms of our, big goals for 2021, or my mindset going into 2021, I mean, we just came through a global pandemic, which I don't think is going to change. The safer at home isn't going to change over the next 6 months. So if we as a team can be up, double digits, through the month of November, or through the month of October, sorry, anything is possible. Again, it's that mindset. Fourth quarter, I used to turn my business off. Well, COVID or global pandemic, I could turn my business off. So really, the sky's the limit for us. I'm excited about 2021. And then the biggest piece that we're layering on top of our current business is our ISA. Andrea on our team has set 180 buyer and seller appointments so far this year, and she's got a 72% show rate, meaning that those appointments she sets engages. That rock for us right now is gaining momentum. I think she's been pushing it up the hill the entire 2020. And I feel like the rock is literally at the top of the hill, and it is going to start snowballing. And that's kind of what I'm excited about. That our ISA we brought in because we don't, as individual agents on our team, we don't lead generate the way we should. As you read the Millionaire Real Estate Model, should be lead generating every morning. We tried. It wasn't a habit or culture we got into, so we kind of modified how we're going to lead generate. But Andrea's honestly lead generating the way the model is, and now starting to see that the momentum go. It's exciting. So, we're going to hopefully end up 15% over last year. What are we going to plan for 2021? Stay tuned, but it's going to be a big number because we're just getting started.
Yeah, I think, there's 2 lessons I would take in that as you think about 3 lessons really for 2021. One, you're very intentional in helping people identify what's your income goal, and then let's break it down to your unit goal based on your average sale price. And without knowing that, you can't set a goal. The second thing I took from that is the second thing I took from that is you're accepting where we are and probably where we will be for the future. And you're learning how to adapt your business in order to move forward. And you're not sitting on the sidelines waiting for this thing to figure itself out. Right. The third thing that I took in all of it, in your guys' kind of outlook in life and your lead generation, is simply you understand the power of leverage. Right. And you understood you didn't have maybe a person on your team, or it wasn't something you and Janine do, is picking up the phone and cold calling and dialing and dialing and dialing. So what did you do? You hired it out for someone to do it for you. And now all of a sudden you've diversified your lead generation sources through leverage.
And just want to make, we still lead generate. It's just, you've got to look at your business. Historically, we did just under 20% of our business from open houses. This year, no surprise, we're down huge, down only 12% of our total business. But because we couldn't be out instead of being in open houses, we were stuck at home, we poured into our database. So our sphere referral is 60% of our business. So that's what we'll double down on as individual agents and let the ISA, augment our business with that version of lead generation.
Totally. I think that's awesome. All right. Last question. And I didn't really kind of lob this out there to you, but I was just looking at some things because today is October 20th, which means tomorrow is October 21st and profit share gets deposited. Right. I'll give you a little bit of stats. Jay, in his lifetime at KW this year, will surpass $100,000 in income just in profit share alone. And 70% of that income has been made in the last 2.5 years. Just real quickly, talk to the power of profit share and that passive income opportunity that you really didn't start to develop until the last 2.5 years, even though you've been here for 5 going on 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Part of it is, yes, I did get intentional, but part of it is, and kudos to you guys who've built an amazingly profitable market center. It's we bring in good people, and the market center is doing such a phenomenal job. So again, part of my success, yes, is having conversations with talented people, but real big part of it also though is how the Stale family's managed and run an amazing, amazing market center. So kudos to you guys. But what that profit share does to us, I mean, it goes, we literally deposit into an account, and as you know, we've got one and soon to be two more in college. I'm sorry, 100 grand goes a long way to providing, you know, a launch pad for our kids to get out of college debt free or with very little debt. So that's how we look at it. It's life changing. You know, I tell everybody that. I just met with a $30 million producer, and I said, you know, this is gonna sound like a sales pitch, but being at Keller Williams is literally life changing, and no other company can give you that type of opportunity.
Yeah, no, cool. Thank you for the kind words. And we appreciate everything you do from a profit share standpoint of just being influential in the marketplace in order for us to attract talent. And, you know, I think it's super cool. 70,000 of his $100,000 has been made in the last essentially 2 years. And that number is growing at about a 30% clip year over year. So, you know, it'll probably only take him another year and a half to make his next 50 to 100K. So Jay, thank you for pouring into our group. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to share with our team. And guys, so many nuggets from the conversation that's right here in our backyard. And so Jay, thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure.
Awesome. Cool. Sorry, guys, I hit leave meeting instead of share the next part of my screen. So my apologies. All right, so wrapping it up here. So Jay, thank you for your time. Thank you for pouring into our group, guys. We'll make sure to send this recording out too, so that you can get those nuggets and share it with you. But I'll jump right back into market stats and insights for the weekly trends. So here's what we got coming. Showing time activity. Guys, we're still well ahead of where we were last year. Yeah, and it's slowing down, but it's slowing down on trend with where the business has historically been for this time of year. So nothing to be concerned about here. Still, again, really, really strong when you compare it to last year. Jumping into market dynamics for units that went under contract, here's the thing to note, right, guys? I've looked at this the last 5 weeks, and we've remained really, really stable around 600 to 620 units that have gone under contract every week. When you look at it in October, the last 2 years, we've been averaging 2,000 units under contract in a given month. And what you need to know is in October 2020, we're on pace for 2,500 units that have went under contract in the month across the entire MLS. So right now we're trending up 25%. That's building off of a month last month in September that was up 30% under contract. Then if you look ahead to sales absorption, again, this is the indication of demand, the percentage of inventory that went under contract. Again, another great metric, because I look at this weekly for a reason. I want to know exactly when this is going to start to level off. And if you see here, it's actually only building. So again, demand remains really, really strong within the marketplace across the last 5 weeks. Here, new inventory, and this is what I want you to hear from me on the new inventory front. New inventory that's come into the marketplace, yes, is it slowing down, but it's slowing down on trend with where it's always been this time of year. Here's what I mean. In October of 2018, there were 2,600 new units that came to the market within that 31-day window. In October of 2019, we saw 2,785 new units that came to the market in that window. So far, the latest 4 weeks, we're at 2,709, right? We are on pace with prior year rate of new inventory levels, right? So what I'm trying to get across is don't be concerned as this thing starts to fall off or level off. It's actually following the trends with where the market's always been. The crazy thing is that buyer demand continues to remain really, really strong within the marketplace. So stuff is moving through the market efficiently. And then again, here's total new inventory. And again, I look back at this over a 2-year period. So if you look at September, 10,600 units of 18, September 19, 10,600 units. September 2020, we're at 8,400 units. Again, the same story we've had. It's around a 20% reduction in total inventory. So again, even though new units coming to the market are beginning to slow, it's beginning to slow on trend, as you can see here, on trend, as it's historically always done. So we're not losing business to it. It's just the inventory that never came in the spring never followed back up through summer and fall. That's it for weekly trends and updates. So jumping into education and events, guys, I'm going to hammer this until you remember it all day long. The energy dial. We're sitting here in October, as Jay and I's conversation talked about. Those guys have more production in these 3 months than they do from June to August. It's incredible. How are you building your business in the fourth quarter so it shows up big in the first quarter to carry your momentum through the second and third quarters? It's all about the energy dial. So as you pour into your business, I want to remind you guys, Mega Camp that happened in September is still available to you until November 15th. There's over hundreds of hours of content to you. There was nearly 35,000 attendees. There is tons of great content, breakout sessions, videos. If you signed up for Mega Camp, you have until November 15th. To rewatch some of that content if you're looking for new ways and strategies to build your business in 2021. As a reminder, the two awesome things that I plan to rewatch again is one, the market update with Gary Keller and Jay Papazan around their 2020 into perspective and where they see 2021 going. And then the other one is Josh Team and their conversation with Facebook and Google around anticipating what's next and how to win moving forward. Two great interviews that are available to you on the Mega Camp platform. And then as a reminder, this is something I really haven't touched on yet. It's been talked about in the trade rags. Some emails have gone out, but one of the really cool things was back at Mega Camp, the International IALC updated Keller Williams mission, vision, value statement. And one of the things that they updated within their value statement was equity and opportunities for all, and making sure that we are an all-inclusive company for all different people of races, ethnicities, sexual orientation, whatever it may be, that we have equity and opportunities for all. And that's represented here in our values statement that was updated this Mega Camp, which is awesome to see Keller Williams really taking the forefront of that in some of the things that are coming out of the social and inclusivity diversity task force. One other thing that you're going to get in this morning or Tuesday afternoon's insights and resources coming out of Mega Camp is these battle-tested scripts, right? Scripts and dialogues aren't so much of the words that we say, but it's knowing what to say when we need to say it. There is some phenomenal scripts in these battle-tested scripts. They had a script off at Mega Camp, and this was the best of the best. And so in this document, you'll find all sorts of objection handlers, scripts and dialogues. So be on the lookout for that as we send that out this afternoon in the Insights and Resources Weekly Recap. All right, Mandy, what do we got coming the rest of the week, rest of the month of October? Mandy Cotty. All right.
All right. So today launch coaching is been canceled. Amanda had an emergency pop up. So gift of time, use that to go check out some things on the YouTube channel or do your Ignite homework. But tomorrow we have Dave Jenks Why List with me. So that will be at 10 a.m. And for those of you who have not been to a Dave Jenks thing, he starts at 10 a.m. So if you're one of those people who runs 5 or 10 minutes late, you will miss some content. So tomorrow at 10 is Dave Jenks. So don't miss that. And then if you haven't registered yet for the business planning clinic, please go ahead and do that. It's next week, Thursday.
I tell you this, the Dave Jenks thing tomorrow morning, Why List with me, we had him for our ALC, just a private mastermind group last month, and he is phenomenal. Unbelievably action-packed content with actionable items right up front. He doesn't waste time. He gets right into it. I highly recommend it. Don't miss it. Why List with me? And for those of you who are in Ignite, stay the course with Ignite. We are recording Why List with me with Dave Jenks, and we will make sure that you have access to that recording so you don't miss an incredible opportunity. But if you're looking for some insight or some motivation, again, the Mamba Mentality, learn how successful people do this business and go learn from them. So cool. All right. And that's it, guys. Reminder, Tuesday afternoons, we send out the Insights and Resources weekly email. Everything we talk about is recapped in this email. It either comes from myself, Diana, or Mandy. So please be on the lookout for that. And also you can check out the YouTube channel for any of the recordings of our team meetings or training and education opportunities. But that's it, guys. Thank you for pouring in. Go use that Mamba mentality. Go learn how successful people have built their businesses and apply it to your lives. Guys, have a great day. Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump off to your Lake Country meetup. North Shore crew, I'll transition over to